Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going to go over the narrative tournament I played at last week in Warhammer World for Kill Team. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of this video, everything. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, as well as an affiliate link at Element Games and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. But yeah, I'm going to talk about the narrative event I played at Warhammer World. So this was their Escape the Gallowdark weekend tournament. So it was 2 days on the second last week of June. The day before, I played at their competitive event with it was supposed to be 26 players, but 20 turned up for one of their weekday tournaments. It was their competitive one open using Crit Ops, and I won that with Chaos Cult. And I think that's as interesting as you can get with that tournament, because Chaos Cult. And then I went on the Friday, and then I played on the Saturday and Sunday. So for this narrative tournament, we got a week before, emailed a pack. I'd never played narrative tournaments or narrative for Kill Team before. I'd been told a lot about how easy it is to break, but then we got the event pack for the event. So what happens is you get the pack, and then a week before they sent us the narrative twist on the pack. So we knew there were going to be 5 missions, and the thing was, in the pack you could start off with 1 ace and 2 experienced kill teamers. And in the email we got a list of like what we could do, what missions we'd be expecting, and more the narrative specific stuff. Because when it comes to narrative events, Games Workshop's event team really go the extra mile. So they make tons of custom stuff, custom rules. And that's basically what we got. So I was really looking forward to it. I wasn't running Chaos Cult. I was running the kill team I actually had, designed names for and actually made custom barricades. And it's my Hand of the Archon. They're my favorite kill team at the moment. So I took them down. Surprised a lot of people, like, why are you here, John? What? You're not playing Chaos Cult? And I was like, it's narrative. I've like printed out data cards of all my operatives. They all have names. I have a background. I did all of that. Spent the Friday night learning what narrative play is. It was great. So when we got to the tournament, what we learned on the day, each map had basically 2 scrap piles that you could just loot for scrap. Like you'd roll a d6. On 1 to 2, you get nothing. On 3 to 5, you'd get scrap. So you'd you go to the table and they'd give you scrap tokens. And then on a 6, you get a food token. Because basically you had to pay food for each of your rounds. Otherwise your team would count as being injured for the round if you didn't pay your food, because they got hungry. So it was like you had all these nice twist elements. You couldn't freely buy rare equipment. You could only buy what they would give you. So you already had a limit on that. And there was a lot of restrictions in place. And if you lost, you got to advance 1 operative by 2 ranks if they were on your lowest level operative. So you actually got more rewards for losing than winning. So let's get into it, and I'll go over if my Hand of the Archon of the Jade Hand Cabal, the Rapturous Shadow, if they actually manage to escape the Gallowdark or die inside. Let's go. So as you can see on table 1, I was against the Inquisition, actually. And all these missions are the narrative missions from all 4 expansions of Kill Team for Season 2. And basically, what happened in that mission was, moved up cautiously. Both of us managed to blow up our data panels, because as you can see, we've got 2 data terminals, and you roll a d6. On a 1, it blows up. On a 2 to 5, you roll amount of access points. That's how many you get. You need 5 to complete a row. And then if you roll a 6, you get an access code. Unfortunately, we both rolled 1s, so we blew ours up, which is fine. And we looted some scrap. This mission was like turning on the power generators. And it was like a varying score. So the attack, if I turned on, because I was the attacker, if I turned on a certain number of generators, I would reduce the amount of victory points the defender would get and increase mine. But basically, the Inquisition kind of moved forward too brazenly. And then turning point 2, I managed to get a grenade, which killed 3 operatives. And then my Super Shredder, which killed 4 more. And by the end of the game, there was 1 brave Inquisition left, and I had my full kill team apart from 1 guy who didn't get blown up. Thankfully, I didn't fail any injury rolls. My opponent, out of 12 operatives, only failed 1. And it wasn't too bad for him. So that was a fun game, especially I was just like, oh no, Inquisition, so many bodies. And then I was just like, oh yeah, I have grenades and blasts. And I realized how crazy it was. So at the end of the game, after looting a lot of these scrap piles, I had received 18 of these gold scrap tokens. And I'd already paid off my food debt for games 2 and 3. So I was living it up. Well, my Hand of the Archon had done incredibly well and managed to steal pretty much everything that wasn't a data console. And that was great. I'll quickly go over the painting competition as well. These are some of my favorites. So we had this really cool, I believe they were like as veteran guardsmen, but the squat kill team, which was, well, you know, halfling kill team, which was great. Then we had these really, really nice hunter clade kill team. I think this is end up winning best painted overall. It was really nice. We also had a really nice Corsair team. Oddly, we ran into the Blood Angels, who were also down to loot stuff. And then once again, that was my kill team, the Hand of the Archon. The Rupturous Shadow of the Jade Hankerbau, and there's all my operatives and barricades. So for round 2, I ran into the Blood Ravens, and they had the foolish idea that they could outsteal my Drukhari. So this mission was also quite odd. Basically, there's 9 terminals, and each time you power them down, you reduce how much victory points your opponent gets. And because I was the attacker, I picked the side with the big console room that you can boop twice. And effectively, I managed to kill 4 of those steely Blood Angels and turn off more data terminals and just narrowly win. But also, I managed to loot so much because I had 3 scrap piles very quickly. Like at the end of, by the end of Turning Point 2, I'd killed all his Marines up top. I was looting to my heart's content. So I did win that. And also, it turns out when you kill people, yeah, you actually, if you kill them in combat, you loot what they're carrying. And it turns out he had he actually had 6 access codes. And because I killed 4 Marines in melee, I managed to get 4 access codes. You know, that was great. I didn't know what these do. And I had gained 12 gold pieces. You know, I'd spent 2 on some, I'd spent actually 6 of them on some rare equipment. But this is great. I'd stolen gold as well as these fancy cards. Unfortunately, I did blow up my data terminal. My Hand of the Archon hates computers, it seems. But that was a very profitable game for my Hand of the Archon. Then into game 3, I was against the Hearthkin Salvagers on basically a loot mission, but there's only 4 objectives, and then if you control that big cat in the middle, you know, you get 3 victory points. So once again, I managed to loot everything, blow up my data terminal because my Hand of the Archon hate computers. They just don't like Imperial tech. Managed to get some cheeky shots early off and then push up and kill a lot of Votann quite quickly in close combat. Although it was still quite close because I mainly won because I managed to loot objectives 1 and 3, Turning Point 1, because I forgot to control the machine in the middle at the end of the game. So he got 3 victory points from that. So he was actually only 2 behind. And by this time, I'd completed my secret mission. So in games 1 and 2, I did plant signal beacon. And in this mission, I had done upload viral code because, you know, in narrative, you can pick any archetype for your attack ops. So I managed to max that. I didn't realize there was actually a meta game behind that. So my one just gave me 5 requisition points and a base upgrade. But importantly, I told the dwarves that height matters. Out of this game, though, unfortunately, didn't steal anything worth of note. But I did manage to get 6 scrap tokens. So, you know, some nice gold there. I think I was on 30 scrap tokens at that point. I think I had way too many. And then we did the pub quiz. The pub quiz was really fun. You know, one of my fellow haters was there. And, you know, before that, I was like, how can I get people to make my pub team quiz the best? So I traded in basically all bar 2 of my gold pieces. And 3 of these stims, as you can see on the screen, are from my teammates. The rest are mine. So I had a lot of stims, and stims are free drinks, which was amazing. Really, really good. I'll show you something extra for the pub quiz. This pub quiz was the first one they did for Kill Team. And usually when Warhammer World does a pub quiz for their tournament, they do a charades round, you know, write what you see. So let me show you this image. So as you can see, at the top, we have RBTs. The umbrella is cover, and the train tracks are lines, cover lines. The bend with the red circle is turning point. 5 is true line of sight. The ones in the bottom one is engagement range, right? you'll never guess what the middle one is. No one could, right? So you'd think it's maybe like war, computer, funnel, something. You know what it turned out to be? War, PC, oven. War, PC, oven. Warp coven. I love hate these pub quizzes, and I love this round is my favorite, but it hurts my soul, and this hurt my soul the most. But the pub quiz was really fun. We actually ended up winning by 1 point, so I am now the co-kill team pub quiz champion, and that puts me on like 5 pub quiz wins for Warhammer World, which is a nice personal best for me. And we all got more free drinks, so technically I had 8 stims at that point. It was very good. So then round 4, on the next day, I was against the veteran guardsman. And this was kind of like, not loot, but basically capture, but you had to control each terminal. This one was actually a very profitable mission for me, and actually very bloody. On the right-hand side, I lost my Disciple of Yalindra quite quickly. She got blown up. But then I managed to get some cheeky shots with a grenade and my Shredder and murdered so many guardsmen in return. But it was an incredibly bloody game. By the end of the game, I had 3 Cabalites left and he had 2 guardsmen. Once again, I did blow up. No, I didn't actually manage to blow up my computer. I managed to get all my terminal points. So this time I had, at the end of this game, I had like tons of cards. And I managed to win very bloodily, but I won. You know, there was a brave guardsman who thought he could punch through my lines, and then I cut him down. But it was a fun game. I did only get 1 access code, but that pushed me to 6. I only got 3 gold pieces, the same as my opponent, because it turns out our scrap piles are full of nothing. Very much nothing. That was fun. Now I'll quickly go over this for lunch. So lunch was actually amazing on both days, because we've had some hit and miss lunches before at Warhammer World, but this time it was like a huge selection and basically all you can eat. So they gave you a bunch of different things to pick, and I only took a photo of day 2, but day 2 you had like kebabs. Like I picked the kebab, and then you had like tons of sides, so I always picked the salads and stuff. But you could have picked like salads, burritos, there was like ribs, so much stuff. Really, really good. So Games Workshop have really stepped up their lunches. It was actually amazing. Like if you were interested in that picture, I got the chicken kebab, a little bit of mac and cheese on the side with some garlic bread, and then as much veg as I could get in a moose pot. And that's great. Because remember, if you go to Warhammer World weekend events, you get lunch paid into the ticket. Amazing. So then we had round 5, which is the final round, which is a 4-player game, which was one of the White Dwarf missions they tweaked. So at the end of round 4, they grouped you into players of 4 based on how you did. So table 1 was like me and another undefeated guy versus the next 2 highest, and basically was paired who you were with, right? So actually a really nice way of balancing it all. And then we were playing on this mission. So there is 6 escape pods and 2 generators. Normally each generator takes 2 power cells to power on, and when both generators are on, then the drop pods are on. If you roll a d6 on a 5 up, you get to escape. On a 2 to 4, nothing happens. On a 1, the drop pod blows up and it's removed and you die. But the interesting thing, there were no power cells, so we had to use our cards. And on this table, I was paired with some Corsairs, Gallowdarks, and Black Templars. So naturally, me and the Corsairs struck a respectable alliance, and then so did the Gallowdarks and Black Templars, which was dubious, but whatever. And basically, turning point 1, I refused to get into that room and turn on the generator. My opponent put in 3 cards, and the Corsair guy put in 3 cards. So at the end of turning point, so the start of turning point 2, I had moved up a bit. You could see me like eyeing the room. There was a Marine in there, and you know, it was a quite interesting turn of events. We moved up cautiously. The Corsair charged into the Gallowdarks, barely killed one guy, died, and then the Gallowdarks just closed the door because they didn't want to go into the generator room, while I kind of just cautiously moved around my drop zone. Turning point 3, during turning point 2, my Witch had charged in and killed one of the Marines on the generator, and the Black Templars were getting eerily close to my lines, while the Corsairs and Gallowdarks just kind of stood around, really. And then something quite bad happened. So, as you can see, I only have 3 guys left. I did manage to kill 3 Black Templars and a few Gallowdarks. but I had taken the brunt of the force while my Corsair ally had just turtled. So I was kind of in a dire straits. And by this time, we were too cautious to actually turn on the generators. But I graciously offered the Black Templar player, like, if you let me turn on the room, like generator, truce, I'll just fall back, I've killed your leader, you've killed mine, we've learned our mistakes, we'll just go it. Thankfully, he agreed, and the Gallowdark player backed off, and then this happened, and then basically, me and the Black Templars just left. Yeah, right. It just like the generators powered on, we just left. The Corsairs started just trying to kill the Gallowdarks, but then lost too many guys, but then also just decided to run away. I may have killed 5 Gallowdarks with my blast before getting into my drop pod, but them's the breaks. But at the end, so what happened? Coming in last was actually the Gallowdarks, who only managed to get 2 guys off. So that only gave him 4 victory points. Then it was me. I managed to get 3 people off. So that was 6 victory points because you get 2 victory points for every guy you get off. 3 if they're free APO. The Corsair managed to get 4 guys off, which was 8. And because the Black Templar guy had 3, he managed to get off 3 and gave him 9 victory points. So he won. So he ended up escaping the Gallowdark because actually, even though we all escaped, only the winner counts as escaping. So unfortunately, my Jade Hankerbell blew up. But it doesn't matter because I have cloning technology, so we all come back to life. So it's fine. So overall, unfortunately, yeah, I did not escape the Gallowdark. I like to think I did. My leader definitely didn't. My leader blew up horribly. But I did make sure a lot of people went down with the ship. I was actually making an alliance with the Khorne and Chaos players. So they wanted to make sure no one got off the ship as well. I think one of them succeeded, our Chaos agents. Unfortunately, we weren't on the same table because we were like, a good captain goes down with their ship and everyone is going to be a good captain today. But it was good to hear. Unfortunately, the Khorne guy, apparently he had the bad mistake of everyone turning on him because he just ran into the generators, killing everyone. So they just shot him dead. The other Chaos guy, who was Felgor's Ravagers, he managed to escape through all the drop pods and kill tons of people. So his plan worked. But it was really fun. So it was really, really fun. Like by the end of it, I kind of worked out how narrative worked. I traded in. I forgot to mention on day 2 because I may have crashed the drink economy with the stims because stims were mysteriously like jacked up on Sunday. That may have been my fault. But it's great fun. I had so much fun playing narrative. I think this was the most fun I've had playing in a tournament in Kill Team. I think the only thing that comes close or was just as good was the US Open final, and Nova. But it was just so much fun. I did not realize how good narrative play was, especially with the restraints and balances the GW events team had done. They made it really, really cool. They were doing flash sales, nice twists during like the entire tournament, every round. And that, like I said, this was only the taster because everyone really loved it. They're hoping to do one again soon and go even more full ham, like have actual proper, they had their own unique rare equipment to give out, and they plan to do more stuff. It was great. They were operating as this crazy trading company, and they were all dressed up in costumes. So much fun. And I think next time when I play in this narrative event, I think I'll do something different because I realized, I actually shouldn't have gone with a full roster. I should have just made my kill team. But thankfully, I kind of did with my hand at the Archon. But I think next time if I go, I'll just custom make a kill team for the event, because I heard there were some players who were just like, you know what, I'm not going to kill you, all I'm doing is running around accessing data panels and looting points, if that's okay with you. And their opponent was like, well, yeah. So they played the mission, but it was like peace treaty until they got too close. And I was like, oh yeah, because it didn't matter if you win or lost, you actually got more benefits from losing, which was nice. But it was all fun because basically there was 10 different tables, and the winner of each table got their own plaque for winning, like their own golden drop pod. It was great. It was so much fun. I really had a lot of fun. And like, yeah, the Games Workshop event team managed to limit the power of narrative play, so it wasn't oppressive. It was really, really cool. And it was just so much fun. Like, I can't wait for them to do it again. The only problem I would say is more of the Into the Dark, because we had to use, because narrative doesn't use crit ops, it uses the old tac ops. And there were some people who were just kind of stuck because, you know, Into the Dark bans a lot of tac ops. So maybe going open board next time will be better. But it was so much fun. Even like, it didn't even matter about, like, I think there was 3 Chaos Code players or something, but it wasn't too much of an issue. It was a narrative. So like, I think next time I may make like a 6 Khorne Legionnaires for Legionary, or something with Tzeentch, you know, do something like that, make a fully built custom team just for the event. But it was so good. Everyone was having so much fun. My favorite thing was chatting to this Guardsman player who was like, how much fun are you having? Oh, it's the best kill team I've ever played. How many of you guys are dying? Oh, so many dead. And it was just so funny. Like, the stuff, like, it was just so much fun when, like, I loot a terminal. Oh, I rolled a 1. It's blown up. And then my opponent's like, haha, I'm going to loot my terminal. Oh, I've also rolled a 1. I've blown up my terminal too. We're both horrible at computers. It was so much fun. Like, just making your own story. Oh, it was so good. Like, base of operations, all that kind of stuff. It's just really nice. Really, really nice. So I would highly recommend going to Warhammer World. Like, they set the gold standard for kill team events, and especially their narrative. Like, this sold out. I think it sold out at 50, and then we had some returns, and then like 10 didn't show up. Like 6 or 8 players didn't show up on the day, but it was so much fun. I highly recommend going to Warhammer World events, especially their narrative event. So many people said they wanted to go again, and I'm hoping, like, the events that they'll try and do one soon. So hopefully we'll see another one in 3 to 6 months. But it was so much fun playing narrative. Really changed me, genuinely. People were worried online on my Discord. Is like, are you okay, John? I love narrative. I'm a narrative gamer now. I understand the power of narrative. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me. So please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of this narrative event. Did you thought it was cool? Would you like to see more narrative events? We cover more narrative stuff for Kill Team. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check down in the episode description below, as well as an affiliate link at Element Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my Adepts of the Crit, I have Sam, Nicholas, Nick, Mr. Meatwad, Kenzie, John Thomas, Eric, Captain Murder, Dad of Goldens, Ben, Average Joe 27, and Arthur. And then for my Veterans of the Crit, I have Sam. Just so thank you so much. Your support really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me today. You know, after the balanced data slate, I've got a video I wanted to talk about a lot. This is a really cool event. Warhammer World just run the best events, especially for Kill Team, and they really went the extra mile with this narrative event. I had so much fun. Highly recommend Warhammer World. So you'll have so much fun. We had so many people from like across Europe and the UK. It was great, you know, and I'm converted to narrative. So remember, no matter what happens at your tournament, especially if it's a narrative event, there's always a chance something should go your way, as long as you can roll a crit.